Once again, welcome in. Unash and Duke's podcast coming your way here via the YouTube. Our page, Unash and Duke's podcast, just go to that at YouTube. Subscribe, and you can not only catch this particular episode, but all of our archived episodes are there. They're also on crmlivesports.com. Just go there. On the upper left, you will see the Unash and Duke's podcast logo. Just click on that, and every one of our illustrious podcasts are right there. Welcome aboard. I'm Scott. He's Mark, and a lot to talk about here to start off a brand new week here in 2026, the first full week of 2026. And the Unash Dukes podcast is brought to you by Emil's Hideaway on First Avenue Southeast in Cedar Rapids. They're right across from the Lindale Mall and next to the Home Depot. They are the home for the best tasting American food around, and you can choose from your favorites: chicken, pasta dishes, pizza, burgers, and more. And not only great for the entire family for a meal, but you can also stop by their fully stocked bar. And if you need catering, they are the place to call. And we brought two of our out of town friends there over the weekend. So we have more Emils fans out there. So thanks to Emil's Hideaway. I had the Hawkeye, by the way. I know you're shocked by
Yeah.
that. But it was delicious as always. Chris did a fantastic job. And yeah, they are located right across from the Lindale Mall, First Avenue Southeast in Cedar Rapids. They are the presenting sponsor. Big thanks as well to our other sponsors, Kurt Gustafson Agency of American Family Insurance, Dr. John Woolner at Epiphany Dermatology, Council Street Northeast in Cedar Rapids, Hunt Graphic Innovations, thanks to Todd Hunt, and Bim Ritter Sportswear, downtown Cedar Rapids, and online at bimritter.com. Bim Ritter Sportswear at 817 2nd Avenue Southeast. And it's portal time, Mark, whether you like it or not. And as of the recording of this particular podcast, it is now up to nearly 4,500 college football players, which is a brand new record. The record was broken on day one when around 3,700 players went into the portal. But crazy, crazy numbers. And they're just going to go up. And the free agency frenzy has begun. The comings and the goings. And you hope you have more coming in than going, I guess, is the bottom line of this. But everybody's got their opinion on it. We've got our opinions on it. Nick Saban would like to see it start in May. I think he's absolutely right on, like the professionals do. After the spring football practice, you could have more guys leave after spring practice. But this is the situation we live in. And what, like it or not, this is the world.
Yeah. Into it too. This is a 2-week period, and I will not find a school. All the focus right now is on Indiana restocking and Penn State becoming Ames East. But a school, or disappointed that they don't find another Division I school and have to settle for something else. Not that that's bad necessarily, but nobody talks about the other end of things. All the attention is about, these teams restocking. 4,500 players, Scott, is the equivalent of 52 85-man teams. Approaching half of Division I college football. That is astounding to me. Now, if you want to get into specifics, I think at least 15, 16 former Iowa State players are now headed to Penn State. It could be more. Let me check my phone. And meanwhile, Iowa State has gotten a handful of players after it lost 50. I mean, is Iowa State going to be well, let me put it this way. How competitive is Iowa State going to be next year? Kurt Cignetti prove that you can turn around a program awfully quickly what he did at Indiana. And actually, he's wasting no time now. He's got his quarterback for next year from TCU. He's got a great wide receiver, Nick Marsh. He's got other players on the defensive side of things that he's already locked up for next year. So it can be done. But I'm not sure I totally like this process. I prefer that a college kid can transfer once and that's it. Um, we saw a former Iowa lineman who declared for the NFL draft today. I can't recall his name offhand, but he's been to four schools. And he didn't distinguish himself at Iowa. I think it was at Washington or Washington State, something like that. But he's entering the NFL draft, and it's just a crazy, crazy situation out there. And I think it's good for some kids, but maybe not so good for others.
Nick Saban on College Game Day over the weekend before one of the playoff games had just an incredible stat. And this was based on the first day of the portal opening up over the weekend. And something like of the Power Four schools, just the Power Fours. And keep in mind, when we give the 4,500 players in the portal, that includes the FCS as well as the FBS. So that's not all Power Four. That's Group of Five. That's the Division One AA's, if you will, or whatnot. I believe he said 12% turnover already in one day of the Power Four schools. Now, Iowa State and a couple others, Oklahoma State, went into that stat in a big way. I mean, Iowa State's lost what? Over 50% of their roster, basically, and well over 50% of their roster. Oklahoma State lost more. Baylor's lost significant people to the transfer portal. And like you said, there are guys out there that are going to be on their third, some on their fourth school. There was and you can look at it, in a number of ways. Texas Tech, one of their boosters, pointed out on a tweet earlier this week that, Texas Tech is gaining all of these players because of the thrust into the facility upgrade that the Red Raiders have put up. Is it completely wrong? No. Let's face it. I would say well over 75% of these players are going to a different school because they know they are going to get more money. I mean, let's just face facts at this point. Will their NFL stock possibly go up? Absolutely. And maybe not so much as basketball with football, but the entire recruiting process now has changed. I feel for the really good high school player, but not great high school player, because they're not getting recruited anymore, Mark. Their best bet is to go to a Division One AA, a Division Two, a junior college, have a great season, be noticed, and then you're going to get recruited. If you are a 2-star, 3-star, but you don't have a lot of people knocking at your door, that is the new way you are going to get to be on a Power Four roster right now. You're still going to have the high school kids recruited that are 4 stars and 5 stars and most of the 3 stars, but not all of them. The fringe guys that you could take a little bit of a chance on, that's out the window with this new system. And that, to me, pains me as much as 4,500 people being in the portal.
Well, I have to wonder what the end game is. Number one, for the boosters who are pouring all this money into programs, Texas Tech being one, and schools like Ohio State, and what's the end game? I've said it before. What's the return on investment for Texas Tech? Was it to make the college football playoffs? Okay, if that's the end game and that's what you wanted in return, fine, you got that. You're also not playing next week. obviously only one team wins the national championship. For the kids, I think it's different for different players. Uh, Players who are not seeing the playing time that they think that they might deserve, like a Brian Allen from Iowa, defensive lineman. I think it's a really good football player, but doesn't see a path. Evidently at Iowa, he's in the portal. Uh, is it the money? I think that's part of it. Is it the coach? There's a reason the Iowa State players are going to Penn State, and it's not because it's Penn State. It's because of Matt Campbell. That's no great revelation. If Matt Campbell would have went to name a school, if he would have went to LSU, the same players probably would have followed him to LSU. That's how much they think of Matt Campbell, and that's wonderful. Are they going to get a better opportunity at Penn State than they will at Iowa State? We'll see. But these are players from an 8-4 team. Are they going to make Penn State that much better? I think they will, if only because Penn State's got a pretty soft schedule next year. And these are pretty good football players in Rocco Beck and Ben Bramer and Marcus Neal and on and on and on. They're going to supplement what Penn State has already and what's coming in. I think Penn State's probably going to be pretty good next year. But my point is, what's the whole point? And I think it's different things for different people.
Yeah, it is, and it's going to help some kids. And I don't want to paint a picture that it's the same for everyone. And it is going to help some kids. I think to your point, it just shows that you're not going to a school because you want to go to a school anymore. You're playing for a coach. And that showed Jimmy Rogers bringing in several of his Washington State recruits and Washington State players now to Ames. They could be the Washington State Cougars coming up this year.
All the more reason not to post these things on social media. Forever a Hawkeye or forever a Cyclone. No, it's not forever because you just are going somewhere else. Just stop that whole nonsense.
I would agree, but I don't think it's going to stop. So the comings and the goings. You mentioned Allen leaving Iowa. Reese Dakin has already landed at Michigan State. And I love how they all say we have signed now with them through our agency.
Yeah.
That's a whole different kettle of fish, right there. LeVar Woods leaves to go to Michigan State to become the special teams coordinator of the Spartans. Everyone kind of knew Reese Dakin was going to go to Michigan State and be their punter. That is going to be the case for the Spartans. A couple of running backs leaving Iowa. Iowa getting in the portal a defensive back target from Villanova, a Final Four team in Division I AA football that Iowa is high on. A Holy Cross defensive lineman has announced, and the new kicker for Iowa, the former North Dakota State kicker, will be moving into Iowa City for his final year next year. And things already taken. And also, it's tough for people that are staying on these teams. You think you have a shot now of getting playing time, and all of a sudden, no, you're done because this new player is not only coming in, but let's face it, if you're paying big bucks for whomever is coming into your roster, they're going to play, whether they deserve to play or not, Mark.
To a large extent, I think, yeah, but there are some transfers that I can recall that didn't see a whole lot of playing time. I'm thinking about Iowa in particular, the George kid, the lineman, who didn't or hasn't seen a whole lot of playing time. So it doesn't always work out, but I think I support your general feeling that if you're going to go to Iowa or Iowa State or Penn State or Indiana, there's a reason, either for more playing time, more money, or you're absolutely disgusted with where you've been.
Iowa State has done well in the portal. Their new quarterback, interestingly enough, they saw last year with Arkansas State, nearly beat Iowa State uh, in that particular matchup, playing for Butch Jones down in Jonesboro, Arkansas. But Iowa State's quarterback is already set for next year. Like I said, several Washington State recruits, including a backup quarterback that Jimmy Rogers brought in to Pullman, is going to be headed over to Ames. So Iowa State's picking up a lot of guys that you haven't necessarily heard of either. A couple Division II guys, some FCS guys coming over to Ames as well. So it's not necessarily the group or the Power Four transfer portal players that Jimmy Rogers is bringing in, but maybe these guys being hungrier. And let's face it, Chambliss down at Ole Miss has shown that D2 guys can play at the D1 level. They're not all going to be success stories like him, but you're going to see a lot more of them that have put up great stats come in and get playing time for these Power Four teams.
Yeah, I guess if your favorite program can find a Trinity Chambliss, do it. The Ole Miss quarterback, that is. Yeah, it's actually fun, I think, to see these guys from Holy Cross and Villanova and Ferris State and everywhere.
Tarleton
Maybe these,
State.
yeah, they probably mature a little bit later than others. The big 5-star coming out of high school, a can't miss player. We've seen that story before. It works sometimes, sometimes it doesn't. But a lot of these guys, um, Chambliss is a perfect example, and there are many others of guys that have, toiled at 1AA or even Division II. Hayden Large went to Dordt, and he wasn't an All-American by any means, but he certainly contributed to the Iowa football program. So there's a lot of means to an end. And again, this is only 3 days into the portal, and we're probably going to have more storylines before the end of it.
I don't know how Kurt Signetti has done it. I don't know. I mean, maybe you Google him and he's that good. But coming up with the portal transfers that he did while preparing for a national semifinal this weekend, I don't think there's anything Kurt Signetti can't do right now in the world of college football. So hats off to him, I guess.
Yeah, I guess if you change the uniform from Indiana to Alabama, you'd think it's the greatest coaching 2-year coaching job in history. But the fact of the matter is it's Indiana and it has been done. And I think a residual of that is that some teams out there, maybe closer to home, are saying, why can't our program do that? Why can't our coach do that? And Signetti is the number one, has the number one seed in the college football playoffs. He may win the national championship. Again, other schools are thinking like, maybe we need to spend a little more money. Maybe do this, that, and the other things. I think it makes some programs a little more desperate. Like the grass is greener over there. He's doing it. Why can't we?
Portal, portal, portal. As the world turns, as the portal turns, and
As the coaching, as the coaching tree turns.
yeah, no doubt, no doubt. Ah, all right. There is college basketball to talk about as well. And a big thanks to our great sponsors, and thanks to everybody for tuning in to the Unash and Dukes podcast. And again, thanks to Emil's Hideaway and First Avenue Southeast, our presenting sponsor, as well as Dr. John Woolner at Epiphany Dermatology, Hunt Graphic Innovations, Ben Ritter Sportswear in Cedar Rapids, as well as Kurt Gustafson Agency of American Family Insurance. College basketball. Iowa and Iowa State. Cyclones stay at number 3 in the AP poll. Hawkeyes move up to number 19 before their first 2026 road dates at Minnesota. A winnable game, but keep in mind, it is the Barn. It is Williams Arena. Minnesota has already beaten Indiana in the Big Ten at home. It's a different Gopher team when they are in the Twin Cities. But it is definitely one that Iowa can get. Hawks are playing well, and we'll see what happens on Tuesday night.
Yeah, that's a winnable game. It's also a losable game. It seems simplistic, but it's true. Uh, I thought Iowa's victory over UCLA was hard fought, played extremely well in the first half, and kind of held on in the second half. And that's kind of the way basketball goes sometimes. UCLA, I think, is a pretty good basketball team. As long as they have Donovan Dent, they've got a pretty good basketball team. That guy took over that game in the second half and nearly brought UCLA down back from a tremendous deficit. But uh, that's the near term. I think the long term is what's going on at Carver-Hawkeye Arena to me. And you'd go to a lot of games. You were there for the UCLA game. And Ben McCollum is certainly trying to engage his players with the fans, putting the student section, even though they weren't there for the UCLA game because the students are on break, but um, have put that section in for a reason. But aside from that, students, I don't think are singly going to change the culture of the Iowa basketball fan. But I guess for me, Scott, watching on TV, and I heard it from other people as well, that was a pretty darn engaged crowd at Carver-Hawkeye Arena. It wasn't completely sold out, partly because of the students not being there, but I think that was a pretty good time to see an Iowa basketball game. And I don't know, you tell me, you were there. What was it like Saturday, and is that sustainable for the Iowa men's program?
It was a great crowd Saturday night, um, and it was an awkward time at 5 o'clock. It's not a Saturday night game. It's not a Saturday afternoon game, but the crowd was into it. They were loud. Now it didn't hurt that it was 40-19 at one point. Um, that was the most engaged Iowa fan crowd at Carver that I have seen, witnessed since probably the early Garza years, when Iowa was, looking like an NCAA team. We're an NCAA team. And the crowd was behind it, but I think maybe even more. Um, there was an NIT game a few years back, quite a few years back now, where the crowd got crazy, because I think it was much like it was on Saturday. It wasn't the usual people. There were people that wanted to be there, brought younger people, brought their kids, except for when they got to hit 67 on the scoreboard. That's a whole different matter. uh, I'm done with that. Never had it, and I am done with it. But at any rate, the crowd was into it, and why not? I mean, this is a team that's 19th in the country that can make the NCAA tournament. If you're not behind this team, and you're not thinking that Iowa basketball is relevant again, then you're living under a rock at this point. Is it Hilton Coliseum? No, it's not Hilton Coliseum yet. And the times that I've been to Ames, it's still not even close to that atmosphere, mainly because of the students. And Iowa State students line up outside to get in. I was lucky if they get half the students into the student section for a game. Sunday will be interesting. Now it's an 11 o'clock game because Fox ended up with the 3:30 window for the NFL playoffs. So it's going to be an early game. Illinois always brings a lot of people. Illinois always brings a section of the Orange Crush. They always have some sort of little plan to get into Carver-Hawkeye Arena. But that's going to be the biggest game that Carver has seen in quite a while. Because Illinois is 13th, I believe, in the poll, and Iowa 19th. Haven't seen a top 20 Big Ten matchup in a while in Iowa City.
A sport like basketball needs a strong home crowd. And if you don't have it, Ben McCollum said it's probably worth 10 points on Saturday. I don't know about that, but it certainly can make a difference in the way your players play and respond. And I think attracting crowds has to do with a lot of things. Number one is winning, of course. If your team wins and wins consistently, you're going to consistently draw good crowds. But it's also the style of play. It's the coach. It's the do you have any stars on the team? And it's certainly tradition as well. Iowa doesn't have the tradition like Indiana or Kentucky or Duke in that regard, but it has a better tradition than some. Uh, but it's way the crowds have waned a little bit. We can talk about the play of the basketball team in particular, but I think McCollum clearly wants a decisive crowd advantage. What coach doesn't? But he sees that as something that he's working on from the time he enters the court to the time he leaves it, and his players do as well. Uh, I just wonder if it's sustainable if this team falls on hard times for a little bit. But it's a good basketball team right now. I don't know if it's number 19 in the country. The pollsters say they are. We're going to find out because after Minnesota and they don't know home game, it's Purdue and Indiana on the road. And we just know the rigors of the Big Ten. So at the end of the year, I think we'll know a little bit better, obviously, about this team.
Mick Cronin may have set a Carver-Hawkeye Arena suit jacket throwing mark on Saturday evening that will be hard to be challenged just ahead of halftime. He was not happy with his Bruins. And to their credit, I mean, Mick Cronin's a heck of a coach. He went in and he made some adjustments. And he basically told Donovan Dent, you're going to go one-on-one, son,
Yeah,
because I don't think there's anybody that's going to be able to stop you. and he
and they
had a
didn't.
and he had a heck of a second half. Um, if they would have done that in the first half, who knows? Might have been a different game. But even though right now it's a quad 2 win somehow, since UCLA is not in the top 35 or something like that. So anyway, could be later on. Um, and later on in the year might be a quad 1 victory. Mark, I'm surprised you do not have your Bears background going today. Even though the Bears did fall yesterday to the Detroit Lions, um, it's still Chicago, the number 2 seed, coming up in a rematch. The third meeting of the year, the rubber match between the Bears and the Packers on Saturday night. Try to figure out your local subscription plan for the ball game, by the way.
Yeah, as I texted you last night, I had a mini meltdown when I found out it was going to be on Amazon Prime. It's not as easy as, using my little remote control and using my cable provider and turning on a game like the other first round games. But, it's going to be simple. I overreacted. I'll be able to watch the game. It's pretty simple, as you know, Scott. I am what I am, in that regard. But as far as the brackets, I think there's some really fascinating matchups. Aside from the Rams and Carolina Panthers, I could care less about that one. But you look up and down the schedule, and next weekend's going to be so much fun. And the NFL is a bit different these days without the Chiefs, without the Ravens. I mean, the Bills are a 6 seed. Denver and Seattle are your number 1 seeds. What's going on?
I agree with you, and there's some great matchups. Great matchups. People are going to complain, especially if Carolina gets blown out, that, oh, we got to redo the whole thing. There have been under 500 teams in the playoffs
Yeah.
before. We got through it. In fact, I'm not so sure that one of those did not win a first rounder. They played well. Seattle was under 500 back in the day, and they won the NFC West and got into the playoffs. So don't dismiss Carolina, especially with the home field. But I think it will be a little bit of an uphill climb. you could not persuade me with, silver or gold to place a bet on the Bears Packers Saturday night because I have no idea what is going to happen in that game. And if you think you know, you don't know because
Packers are favored.
Jordan Love sat out. He's probably going to be fine, probably going to play. Uh, I don't think it was so much the Bears lost, but the Lions really wanted to win that game. And, the Detroit Lions, I believe, finished ahead of the Vikings, right? They were tied, but I think the Lions got third place. Doesn't matter. Give the Lions a third and fourth place schedule next year with the talent they have. Watch out for Detroit next year.
Yeah, everybody in the NFC North was over 500. Was it the best division? Arguably, maybe. I think you need to go look out west with in the NFC West. That was pretty strong, and your division was as well in the AFC. But um, I don't know what to make of the Bears and Green Bay Packers. Obviously, they split during the regular season, and it is in Chicago. That's a benefit for the Bears. But as a Bears fan, I'm thinking it's gravy from here. Because if you beat Green Bay, you're probably going to get, San Francisco. You're going to get San Francisco or Philadelphia, and it's never no bargains in the playoffs. I do know the Bears are going to have to play better than they did on yesterday, but to me, it's all gravy for the Bear as a Bears fan. Packers been there, done that. Packer fans, you got to be disappointed if you don't win.
San Francisco at Philadelphia, hands down. Did you say that? San Francisco, Philadelphia, I think hands down the best matchup on paper in the first round.
Absolutely. I think it's a terrific matchup. And one game in the AFC, I really want to see what happens is Jacksonville and Buffalo. We know about Josh Allen and Buffalo and the pedigree there. Jacksonville, what, won 13 games? And Trevor Lawrence is a pretty darn good quarterback, and they've got a good defense. We'll see if Jacksonville's for real.
Kobe Myers and then the emergence of Parker Washington had made Jacksonville a top flight football team. The Chargers go to New England. Is New England for real? I don't know. Tell you what, I like the Houston Texans. I know they got to go on the road to Pittsburgh. They got to beat the mystique that is the Teflon man, Aaron Rodgers. But I like that defense in Houston. And I don't know. You could play this thing out, I think, 12 times and come up with 12 different scenarios in the NFL playoffs.
Absolutely. I'd hate to pick the Super Bowl combatants right now. And if I did, it'd probably be wrong. How
Only
can
one
you
I'm
not
really
like how can you not like Denver's defense?
right.
Denver and Houston, if they play, man, that's going to be a defensive struggle. I don't know. Right now, the betting favorites are Seattle and Denver. Would you take either one of those two to win the Super Bowl? I don't know.
Denver
Would you bet
Denver
against
does
would you bet against Jalen Hurts? Would you bet against Brock Purdy? Would you bet against Green Bay? Would you bet against Josh Allen? On and on and on.
Buffalo, I think, needs to really win. They need to win. Um, Jacksonville hasn't been under these bright lights, so we'll see if
Yeah.
they can take the heat. And Buffalo has got a lot of pressure on them, I think, to win. With Josh Allen, this team is made for right now, and what New England did, squeezing them out into the sixth seed, we'll see. In New England, they are not household names, but when they got that coaching staff in place when Tennessee was stupid enough to fire them all and went to New England, said, yep, this team is going to be good. And they are good. We'll see what happens. We'll have our friend Mark Ironside back with us coming up midweek. Looking forward to that, talking about the Soldier Salute, talking college wrestling. So we look forward to that. Big thanks to our great sponsors, Emil's Hideaway, our presenting sponsor, Kirk Gustafson Agency of American Family Insurance, Dr. John Woolner at Epiphany Dermatology on Council Street Northeast, Hunt Graphic Innovations, and Bim Ritter Sportswear in downtown Cedar Rapids for all of their help. And get that, find that subscription, Mark, get that ready to go for Saturday night.
I'm already on it. I've got my free trial underway and I'm good to go. It wasn't that hard.
Sounds good. All right. Thank you. Thanks to everybody. And you can go ahead and view all of our archived podcasts, not only at the Unash and Dukes podcast on YouTube. Go be a subscriber. Makes it a lot easier to navigate that page, or go to crmlivesports.com and click on our logo in the upper left. All right. For Mark, Scott saying thank you, and we'll talk to you next time.